Welcome one and all to another day here at the Damage Report. I'm John Iadarola. Joining us once again, thank God, Francesca Fiorentini. How's it going?
Criminal trial for Donald J. Trump. Criminal trial for Donald J. Trump.
It's here.
Gotta
send him to jail for the hush money payments. Stormy Daniels. There's something there. There's something there.
Yes. Hi. Happy Monday.
How's it going? There's a lot going on in the news, a lot going on everywhere. How are you doing? How are you holding together?
I'm okay. Everything's fine and normal. I think we've averted World War III, maybe. I'm not sure.
See, you say that, but I've got, so there's like a couple of like live trackers of the New York Times right now. And I'm like, okay, even though I'm like literally doing a show live, I have to see if any big update happens. And then also there's one that just says Middle East crisis. And I'm like, that could just be nuke launched at any time. So it's sort of burying the lead there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, both of those could go nuclear at any time. So we're gonna jump into the trial, and we're gonna catch up a little bit on many of the machinations. And we will be talking about Iran and about Israel for our members. That's gonna be our bonus content for this week. We're gonna be responding to what happened over the weekend, what we think could happen coming out of that, and that will be going out later on today to the members. The show has so much on it. Legal stuff, money stuff, awful stuff, more awful stuff, and possibly more consequences for George Santos. I thought he was gone. They're still targeting him in the House. And so when can he finally just have peace? We're gonna try to figure that out. And we have tried, it is difficult, but we have tried, and we have found a couple of fun things to discuss along the way. So lots to get to, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't already. If you want a chance at the Blue Ribbon gift card, send in your comments, your tweets, your super chats, and all of that. Oh, if you're not already a subscriber to the channel, we're desperately trying to get to 1 million subscribers by election day. We passed 900,000. We're about almost 905,000. So we're making good progress towards that 1 million, but you can be a part of the solution. And I know what you're thinking. I've already subscribed. What more can I do? Share videos. And maybe people will watch them and maybe they'll like it. Maybe they'll want to be a subscriber. Really, there's nothing more that you can do besides that. But
I was just gonna say create fake shadow accounts.
No.
Okay, I was going in a different, okay.
I want real subscribers,
Okay.
So there you go. Anyway.
By hook or by crook, I mean.
By hook or by crook or by whatever. But anyway, okay, with all that said, are you ready to do this thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's do it. Let's jump into this. For the first time in American history, a former president is in court, in criminal court, facing a whole bunch of charges, 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. This is the hush money trial, which, as we have laid out over recent weeks, is about more than just that. But the developments are already flooding in. We're on the first day of this thing. We've got weeks to go and a lot is already happening. So first of all, and almost instantaneously, the judge picked up Donald Trump's motion to remove him from the case that he would have to recuse because he's biased or whatever. And he rejected that. He didn't even really provide that much of an argument. He just said that they didn't provide much of an argument for why he should recuse, so he will not. So the judge is staying. No real shocker there, but a lot of other things going on. Some of it good for Trump, some of it bad for Trump. So first of all, we expect, and this will probably be happening while we're live here, they're really pushing on consequences for Donald Trump, possibly fines for the witness intimidation that he's been engaged in over the past few days, attacking both Michael Cohen as well as Stormy Daniels. That's a violation of the gag order. And we know that Trump knows that because he can't go a day without posting about how he's gagged. So he knows that he's gagged and he's violating that gag order. So perhaps there will be consequences for that. On Saturday, by the way, he called Michael Cohen a disgraced attorney and felon, which is definitely attacking a witness. You can't do that in this case. And Stormy Daniels was attacked as well. But that said, before we get into the discussion, I do want to give you, because you're probably, if you're on Truth Social, you probably think this judge is totally biased against Trump. Well, not necessarily. because the judge also ruled that he's denying the prosecutor's request to introduce other sexual assault allegations against Trump, calling them, quote, complete rumors, complete gossip, completely hearsay. I don't think that that is necessarily a fair way to describe all of these many accusations, to say that they're complete hearsay. But regardless, it's not going to be a part of the trial. So the prosecutors are mad about that, because being able to describe the many allegations that were coming against him was part of what seemed like the prosecutor's strategy to show that Trump was worried about losing votes over this, that there had already been stuff like this in the news, and he wouldn't necessarily want more of it out there, which sort of gets to the motivation of doing the hush money payments and then hiding the payments. So this goes beyond just now there won't be this evidence. It hurts the case of the prosecutors in trying to describe why it is that Donald Trump might have done what he's alleged to have done. And I want to throw out one other good development, I guess, for Donald Trump. So the judge said that jurors can be told about Trump's past affair with a Playboy model. I think it's a reference to Karen McDougal, but not that Donald Trump's wife was pregnant at the time of the allegation.
Okay.
That detail, he said, was prejudicial, although he said it was possible his thinking on that could change as other evidence is introduced. They said that this would poison the jury against the defendant. The things Trump did and when he did them would poison a jury against him, so they can't hear it? Okay, I get that. Seems weird to me. I feel like if this is a thing that happened and there's good evidence of it, they should know about it. But this is another thing where, again, things are kind of being slanted in Donald Trump's favor. Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, I'm just reminded of the ways that when an unarmed black teenager is murdered by police, how we're supposed to focus on their grades and whether or not they shoplifted candy at any point. Like, I mean, this is the level, right? You think about Michael Brown and things like that, or anyone who's been killed at the hands of police. We go into their character, we talk, prosecutors bring up everything about them. And yet this is a detail of Trump's life, his history of affairs, his history of, I mean, it's not gossip. It is provable and he was found guilty in court of sexual abuse against E. Jean Carroll. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This judge seems pretty damn lenient. The only thing that I will say in the judge's favor, and maybe if it clarifies things for the jury, is that this trial isn't really about whether you have affairs or whether your wife was pregnant at the time that you had the affair. It is about the machinations, the money behind when you tried to pay off this person to keep them quiet about that affair. And that was campaign finance, fraud. That's exactly what that is. That's the crime there. The crime isn't cheating on your wife with a porn star, right? A wonderful, very talented. I'm sorry. I just want to say, like, Stormy Daniels is much more than a porn star. Like, let's put that out there.
Okay, well,
and it's hard to be a porn star. Wait. Also hard to be a porn star. Thank you. You can continue.
Yes, exactly. And let that be entered into evidence. In any event, I'm gonna throw out just one little twist potentially. Because look, in terms of characterizing Donald Trump, not being able to tell the jury, who I'm gonna guess knows that she was pregnant at the time anyway, would seem to help Trump. But is it possible that this actually hurts Trump legally? For a reason which I will now describe, which is there are a couple of potential explanations as to why Donald Trump did what he's alleged to have done, if he did the hush money payments, okay? There is to influence the election, okay, because he's worried about losing votes. I will refer to that theory as the actual one. That's really what he did. But then there's another, which you could make the case for, which is it's not about affecting the election. It's about making it so that Melania doesn't find out. Now, it could be if the jury knew about the pregnancy, then that makes it even worse. And thus you'd be more motivated to do it just so she didn't find out. But they're not gonna find that out. So maybe this undercuts a potential alternative explanation as to why he did the hush money payments in the first place.
Right.
And why he went to such extrajudicial lengths to hide them. But now that's gone. That's not a part of the trial. And will he potentially come to rue that decision? I don't know, we'll find out. I will also say, and we're gonna continue on, but there's live stuff coming in, which is Trump could potentially be fined for the gag order violations, $1,000 per post, which seems like nothing. I don't what's even the point of that? We'll find that out a little bit later on today. And then there's an amazing detail about Donald Trump that we'll get to in just one sec. But I want to give you a couple of the other updates because again, there are many. So this one works against Donald Trump, and that is that lawyers for the former, basically they wanted to change the questionnaire that's going to be asked of prospective jurors, of which there are apparently 500. So this could take a while. Lawyers for Trump had argued against asking jurors whether they'd ever worked or volunteered for Trump's campaign or affiliated groups. Yeah, if I was a lawyer for Trump, I also wouldn't want that to be one of the questions, but obviously that needs to be one of the questions. If you volunteered for Donald Trump, the idea that you could be a juror on this seems like madness, but it's the exact sort of madness that he wants. And in terms of how Trump is taking all of these updates or whatever, I don't think we have this as a graphic, but at one point on the live news tracker on the New York Times, Maggie Haberman had noted Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps drooping down and his mouth goes slack, which is kind of how he looks when he's awake in his defense, but also not a great look for the guy who wants to run against a guy he's calling Sleepy Joe. But anyway, he eventually did wake up and that's good. Also, Trump is apparently going to be allowed to be present for the proceedings. It seems like even the potential jury stuff, but if he acts out, if he tries to bias the jurors, he could get in trouble, and that potentially includes being sent to jail. I have a feeling that will not happen regardless of what he does. But the guy who's falling asleep we know he's had outbursts in the past in the Eugene Carroll trial. So it's not impossible that he could do that again, Francesca.
Yeah, there were a lot of, I think, fists slamming, a lot of like fooies, I think was the proper term that he used, something like that. There was fooies and uggas, I can't remember exactly. I love that he's falling asleep. That's just very on brand for an elderly fascist. I do think that having the jury there will pep him up. He loves an audience.
Yeah.
I'm reminded, I feel like Johnny Depp during his Amber Heard trial was playing to the jury. He was like, "You want me to do a little Jack Sparrow swagger?" I think we're gonna see that. But Johnny Depp was more like, "Let me wear cool colored, Armani glasses," and Trump's just like, "Let me look like an orange that you left in the sun in your car for a really long time."
On Mercury. Yeah, 100%. So anyway, we're gonna be live tracking the developments, and if anything big comes, we will let you know. But I want to rewind a little bit, okay? We'll let the jury selection process continue. Let's go back to how Trump greeted the day, because it is a historic day. I know that we're joking around and we're being sarcastic and all that, but the president is in trial, facing criminal charges. That has never happened before. That should have happened before. There were many opportunities theoretically, but this is the first, and that's big. So let's check in with Trump as he gets ready to go into the court earlier today.
This is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. It's an assault on America, and that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country, and it's a country that's failing. It's a country that's run by an incompetent man who's very much involved in this case. This is really an attack on a political opponent. That's all it is. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
He seems very honored. I bet he's very happy that this whole thing is going on. So honored, love to be here. This isn't causing a ton of awkward conversations at home. So he's very honored because of course Biden is very involved, except that he's not. Biden has nothing to do with any of this at all in any way. And isn't it weird how America is failing to the extent that Donald Trump is facing issues? America's doing well when he's not on trial. As soon as he's facing personal struggles, America is failing. It's weird. It's almost like it's a cult of personality. Almost.
It's like if Trump doesn't have his morning poo, he's just like, America's there's just the supply chain lines. It's very backed up. Today, America's failing. This morning is a failure for America. You're like, you mean your bowels? It's truly it is so sick how they are just linked to how well he is doing, as if any of his followers are going to see a dime of the money that he's made and is making off the presidency, his presidential run. This whole case is undershadowed. I know we'll get there, but by Michael Cohen and the fact that he was already sentenced and served time for carrying out these crimes. I mean, this is at a time we're being told that Joe Biden runs a crime ring. Donald Trump had a dude that he was straight up called like a fixer. His fixer, yeah, he's an attorney. But his fixer, like charged with hiding this money through, I guess, 34 different financial crimes and ways that he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. Imagine if Biden had a fixer. Like again, there's all this mob stuff that Trump just gets for free. We don't even dock him for it. He gets someone to fix his
little like acai bowl. Like, I feel like that's the fixing that happens. Is just
I don't know if he's. I think he's more of a grape nuts man. But anyway,
sure.
So look, Donald Trump, that video, he's saying pretty much what he always says. And some of his social media activity in anticipation of the case is what you'd expect it to be. But some of it, I would make the case, is weird even for Trump. And we're gonna get to that in just a moment. I'm gonna let you evaluate that. But first, I love the beginning of this post. Just 4 years ago, I was a very popular and successful president of the United States, getting more votes than any sitting president in history. Well, I mean, Joe Biden is now a sitting president. He got more votes than you. So I love the caveat where I guess Biden wasn't sitting at that point. It's such a weird participation trophy. Tomorrow morning, I'll be in criminal court and blah, 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 blah. He lies about his level of support, going on to say, when I walk into that courtroom, I know I will have the love of 200 million Americans behind me, and I will be fighting for the freedom of 325 million Americans. I don't think nearly that many Americans do hush money payments. I don't think so. Also, 200 million Americans, first of all, if you had more than half the country behind you, wouldn't you ever win the popular vote even once? Also, no, not 200, but half of all Americans don't give a damn about any of this stuff that's going on. It's unfortunate, but it's largely true. And of those who do, the majority don't like you. That's the way it goes. That's why elections have gone the way they have. But I want to move on to the weird stuff, because I did say that he's doing stuff that stands out even for him. And here's an example of it. He posted a poll. Now I know what you're thinking. He posts polls all the time. Yes, and very often they're BS polls. But at least they're polls that came out recently. He posted this, a nice poll from the past. It's a more than 2-month-old poll of him leading Nikki Haley in South Carolina. Nikki Haley dropped out of the race like 5 weeks ago. That election is way in the past. That's not even about Joe Biden. That's not even like hey, I was doing really well against the guy I'm running against. He's like hearkening back to like the oldies. What is the purpose of putting that out? It's not even the only one. He posted another one about how in the New Hampshire presidential primary, he'd gotten more votes than Bernie Sanders. That was months and months ago. He's on the plane to his criminal trial, and he's posting old polls and information about elections that are already over. Is that not strange? I honestly don't even understand what the goal here is, but maybe you understand.
Well, when you bookmark something and then you forget to tweet it out, and so, or you bleed it. So he's like bookmarked it, and then he's like, oh, or he just finally, a lot of these are tweets. So he finally checked his Twitter, like I leave my TikTok, kind of just like, ugh. And then I go back and check, especially Blue Sky. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on Blue Sky. Then I go and I'm like, oh, hey, and then I'll retweet that. So that could be what's happening here. No, he's just trying to build himself up. He's trying to be like, I'm good. Remember how yeah, you are the front runner. You clinched the primary. You're the nominee. Look forward, not backwards. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. But yes, it's all about like, don't pay attention over there to this criminal trial. Pay attention to these old polls.
It would be like if I'm trying to think of what an equivalent would be for me or you to do. I honestly, I don't even know.
You'd be like, remember how we surpassed, 1 billion views? Remember you did that at some point?
I guess.
You just remind people many months later?
It just seems very strange to focus on it so late. Like and I get it, it's building himself up, but like there has to be something going on right now. You've got to be beating Biden in some polls right now. I'm sure that you are. So just post those. But anyway, that's what he's doing for fun. But I don't care about that. I care about us having fun. I care about you having fun, okay? and there's gonna be a lot of complex legal stuff. And so I wanna give you some just easy Schadenfreude. So I've got that. Apollo Racer says, remember when you won the Webby? Yeah, imagine if I just tweeted, hey, remember when I won that Webby? But at least that doesn't feel as weird to me as this, because this is about something that's now irrelevant. The South Carolina primary doesn't matter. It's not like, remember when I won in 2016, the election? That's still relevant. This isn't. Anyway, we're moving on, okay? I wanna have some fun, so I'm gonna have it at Trump's domestic expense. Let's go into this.
Trump says he wants to testify, and you've said that Melania would push him to take the stand. Do you think she's playing a role in his decision? Would she be an advisor in this situation?
You know, I think behind closed doors, as a husband and wife, she would probably say, look, if you have nothing to hide, take the stand type of a thing.
And she might for that reason, but of course there are considerations beyond just whether he has something to hide. There are real consequences in this case to him potentially testifying. And let's go into a little bit more of that.
And, but I know this is just his bluster. And as your reporter said earlier, he has said this so many times that he's going to take the stand. And then he's going to come out and say, oh, my lawyers told me I couldn't, so I couldn't go out and do it, which is so funny because he doesn't listen to anyone. He doesn't listen to his lawyers. He doesn't listen to anyone. So it will be his choice, absolutely. But I think he knows if he takes the stand, that will cause him a lot of trouble.
And I think that is probably the case. And that is why, although this is one of the least objectively important consequences coming out of the hush money trial, which we're now into. It wasn't delayed, it's going forward. Trump has to worry about how his base is gonna interpret this. He's gonna have to worry about how independents are going to interpret this, how it might affect the outcomes of different states in a different way. With abortion being such an important topic in this election, how is that potentially going to play in this? The fact that he's very worried about what women think about him. But at the same time, behind all of that, there is the one woman, and how this is gonna potentially affect that relationship for right now. And so we have a little bit of a preview coming from Stephanie Grisham about how this has worked for him in the past. Listen to this.
You were there, you were around when all of the Stormy Daniels allegations, the fallout, the furor about it all. What was that like inside the White House? I mean, what was the behavior of everybody? How concerned were they about this?
Oh, everybody was extremely concerned. Internally, people were in the West Wing were nervous of what us in the East Wing would be doing. Melania often came out with statements that, were not what the West Wing would want us to say about various different things. And so I recall one time, former president calling me from Air Force One to basically see how angry she was and to see if we were putting any statements out, because we never checked with the West Wing if we were going to say anything. So he definitely was worried. The West Wing was constantly checking in with me. What's going on? What's going on? I never shared with them, her thoughts on it, because that was kind of personal, private conversations between the two of us. When I said we're not going to the State of the Union, or she'll just meet him on Air Force One, I just stopped there. And I think they all knew in the West Wing not to push further or not to ask her to do any more than that.
And I think that that's amazing. Bear in mind that she was with Melania at the time. Like, setting aside the political stuff, and setting aside even my hatred for Donald Trump, it's like a very humanizing and weird thing. He calls up, not her, other people. How mad is she when the details were first released? How angry is she? And look, they're allegations, so we're supposed to pretend that it didn't happen, even though it clearly did. He's just wondering how much trouble he's in. And now, he's before the cameras right now, and he's saying that he's super honored to be there. He's honored that this is a thing that he's still fighting over, whatever. And I wonder if he's thinking about that. How angry is she right now? There's so many levels of all of this brewing at the same time, Francesca. And just on a human level, I find it fascinating. What do you think?
I mean, I think she probably wants him to testify because she doesn't want to be back in the East Wing of the White House or wherever she is. Like, she doesn't want him to be president again. I don't think she wanted to be president and to be first lady in the first place. I mean, she doesn't even like Christmas. Who cares? But she's like, yeah, go hang yourself. Go hang yourself with all your word salad. Get tripped up when the prosecution shows you a photo of your ex-wife, and you have to be like, yep, is that her? or is that E. Jean Carroll? Like, it's so easy to trip this guy up. He obviously he incriminates himself in every single breath, and I mean, I really don't care about their relationship, except it's toxic and awful, and probably I mean more than golden handcuffs, just like just a golden shower of lies, all the lies, and it is incredibly embarrassing to have to be the woman by his side. Look, we're in a country. I'm old enough to remember, and I don't even say that sort of like in that phraseology or whatever. I just remember how people treated Hillary Clinton when she stayed with Bill Clinton after we found out about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky, right? Scandal, how could she? All this and that, all that's gone. All of that is completely gone, right? And first of all, who cares? Like, I do think that this is not about whether or not he slept with her, but it should matter to his so-called evangelical, moral, traditional family values BS crowd. But it doesn't. Exactly, and it's like, if this were a Democrat, they would be hounding Melania. How are you still with this man? He cheated on while you were pregnant. They drag her through the mud, and this is the extent that MSNBC or liberals, we are the extent, like we're not dragging her. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
like, it is just so
God.
wild. Yeah,
thank God.
Of course.
And maybe that's the small amount of like empathy that comes from the evolution of decades of media. Maybe it is just the fact that it's a Republican in this case. Maybe it would be the same if it was a Democrat. And I try to, obviously we center empathy and compassion in our sort of values web. That's it. Like, I bear in mind at the same time, she has stood up for him. I'm not talking about the relationship stuff. I'm talking about like horrendous policies and stances he's taken, the racism and all that. So, if you want to have a personal problem with Melania, I think that she has provided you a lot of political reasons to do that. In terms of the relationship stuff, relationships are complicated. She could genuinely believe that he didn't do it. It's a whole complex situation. There's kids and everything. So I don't judge for that. And honestly, and I know that this is weird and I shouldn't have this feeling, but like, I just think about like, if it's announced, the judge bangs the gavel, he's going to prison for this. I just imagine the weight coming off of her shoulders. Oh my God, is she gonna sleep good that night?
She's gonna be a Disney princess waking up.
For better or worse, because she believes some bad things. Like, I'm not like, there's this weird thing where people like imagine that she's like imprisoned by him or something. No, she's a fully functioning human who's willingly involved in all this. But again, just on a non-political level, the weight coming off. If there could be a camera on her face when it's announced, and it probably won't be announced, he'll probably find a way to wiggle out of consequences and all that. But if it does, that is gonna be something. I hope it's not gonna be Stephanie Grisham in the room with her at that point, but I hope that whoever is eventually writes a book, because that's gonna be fascinating. Final point.
I think this case, final point is just, I think this case is really fascinating on a million different levels, because it exactly points to the hypocrisy of Republicans in this time when it comes to, again, their family values, and it comes to, again, like traditional masculinity and femininity and blah, blah, blah. And which is, women, you shut up. Pregnant women, you shut up. Who cares what your alpha male does, right? Even though we hate sex workers and we should, they're all trying to like, even adjacent sex workers are somehow trying to groom our kids. No, they're grooming your president, bro. Like, that's exactly what happened. And then on top of that, we have to remember that this case was the very first thing that sort of came down on Donald Trump when he assumed his presidency, and it coincided with the Me Too movement. Donald Trump lured Stormy Daniels to his hotel room with the promise of a potential job. Hey, let's work together, let's do something. Now, of course, I know what you're thinking. If you're Stormy Daniels, you see a creep like Donald Trump, do not go to his hotel room. But this is the Harvey Weinstein thing. This is the thing that creates this 100%. Cascade of the Me Too movement, and this was kind of that first little snowball in the avalanche, I think, of what truly changed our culture, which was the Me Too movement.
Yeah, you're totally right. So we talked about the aspect of the job thing, but not in you did a far better job of linking it to, that's what the social movement fundamentally was about, was using the control you have over opportunities, financial opportunities, business opportunities. You're 100% right. I'm gonna conclude with this because I just figured out how this thing should play out.
Yeah, please.
I'm not a PR person, but Melania, you should hire me because I have great ideas. I'm gonna give you one right now. It's announced in court, he's going to prison for 16 years or whatever. Remember, up to 4 years in prison for each of the counts is 34. Nothing like that is gonna happen, but hypothetically it could. She releases not a statement, not a speech, nothing like that. She doesn't go on Fox News. It's just an Instagram image. And it's like she does. It's gonna be a shot of her from behind, standing on like a balcony, looking out of a window. She loves doing stuff like that, sort of like metaphoric imagery. And there's no caption. It's just her on the balcony looking out, and she's wearing the "I really don't care, do you" jacket. That's the whole thing. I just wanna see that on Instagram. It would be so awesome. But anyway, we need to take a break. Lots more to come after this. Okay, yes, we are behind, but we don't have a D block. So we're gonna catch up a little bit in this next one. Thank you everyone for being here. I want to read some of your comments. I saw Leafy said, Francesca always embarrasses John in a great way. It happens quite a lot. Bart posted, remember the time John won the Tony? I don't remember you guys turned the Webby into a Tony. But anyway, if I did win a Tony, what would it be for? Let's get some speculation in the chat. Anyway, let's see. Oh, Gabby says in the members' comments, hey Gabby, it's so revealing that Trump thinks threatening a judge into recusing himself from the case is a legitimate legal strategy. He has no actual defense. No, there's no defense. And again, it's like the New York fraud one. Him and Fox News, they're not providing even a bad legal defense. Like they cannot actually say that they didn't overvalue those properties or that he didn't purposefully mischaracterize what those payments were for. It's all just procedural and about bias and all that. It's nothing about whether the allegations are true or not because they know that they're true and they can't actually dispute that. Okay, let's see. Oh, new members, Chris Smith. I think I acknowledged you on the pre-port, but thank you for becoming a tier 3 member. It's great to have you here. Saren, you tier 2 member, thank you for being here. Dieter is a member, thank you. Hattie Quinn became a member, thank you, Hattie Quinn. Dylan Hildebrand became a member, thank you so much. Benjamin Morrill gifted a membership, thank you. James Ray, member for 37 months, says, who is more powerful, Trump or the presiding judge? We're gonna see, I mean, the presiding judge is more concerned about the ramifications of everything they do than Trump will ever be. So I think Trump is more powerful in that way. He's less encumbered by anything, I guess, except for maybe an untailored suit. Chase Essex says in super chat, hey John, how many subs for a dragon tattoo? I do not think that I am the sort of person that would ever barter subs for tattoos.
You should, if once you hit 1 million.
Dragon tattoo. What if I got a dragon tattoo, but it was a really douchey dragon tattoo where like I got it like around my bicep in place of like a tribal thing, but it was a dragon. Can I do that?
With like Chinese writing that just says.
But it doesn't say dragon.
I am honky.
Maybe. What about that? Is that okay? Okay, let's see. Alan Smith sent in a super chat saying, John, guess my age. For today, I've become the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Well, then I know. 37, and happy birthday. Thank you. Long Beach Dragon sent in a super chat saying, I just want Trump to answer why the hell he actually wants to look like a gas station tuna melt sandwich with all that orange glow he wears. Because
it's not
the alternative
even orange anymore.
Look, it is.
It's borderline blackface. It's borderline
I don't want to say it.
It's so close to being blackface.
I feel like it's a hate crime, honestly.
1,000,000%.
No, but think about it. Look, all of the stuff he does to his physical appearance, and this is why we're saying in the social break, because I don't like to focus on appearance. I really don't. But all the stuff he does, the end result, I think we can all agree, is not great. If you were to wake up looking like that, you'd imagine that you were cursed by a witch. So the only way that it makes any sense is if the alternative is worse. I don't know what that alternative is, but if you stripped away all of that stuff, he finds that worse, is all I'm saying. And again, let's not focus on appearance. Please never send me comments about how people we're talking about are ugly, politicians or whatever. I don't like that stuff. I am making a rare dispensation.
But do you think he's on Ozempic?
No, I don't think so. And if people want to use, whatever, we'll talk. And we're getting into dangerous territory in the social break, okay? Let's try to protect ourselves and maintain the existence of the show as we launch into this.
Do you support Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate, or do you stand behind Speaker Johnson?
We're getting along very well with the Speaker, and I get along very well with Marjorie. We have a Speaker. He was voted in, and it was a complicated process, and I think it's not an easy situation for any Speaker. I think he's doing a very good job. He's doing about as good as you're going to do, and I'm sure that Marjorie understands that. She's a very good friend of mine, and I know she has a lot of respect for the Speaker.
Really? Not the impression that I've gotten over the past few weeks, but look, that's what Mike Johnson went to Mar-a-Lago for. Those quotes from Donald Trump, giving him credit for the job that he's done, pretending that Marjorie Greene doesn't hate Mike Johnson's guts. That's what he came to kiss the ring for. And I guess he got it. The stuff Trump said is ridiculous. Marjorie Greene has no respect for literally anyone, let alone Mike Johnson, but that's what he wanted. And interestingly, and maybe because of these developments, Mike Johnson is speaking more openly about Greene than he has in the past. Take a look.
Did you speak with President Trump privately about what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing?
I spent hours with the president on Friday. He and I talk frequently, many times, usually in a week. We have a long relationship. He's 100% with me, and he said, we'll get this job done. That's a distraction. What Marjorie's done with the motion to vacate is not helpful for our party, for our mission to save the country, because if we don't grow the House majority, keep the House majority, win the Senate, and win back the White House for President Trump, we're going to lose the Republic.
Okay, what Marjorie Greene is doing is unhelpful. Okay, that doesn't seem bold, but for Mike Johnson, that's like him flipping her off. That is the equivalent for a person like Mike Johnson to him calling her quite harsh names, I think. And I think he feels like he can do that now because he is now sheltering under the wing of Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he's doing a good job, so he can insult to the extent that he's capable, Marjorie Greene. What is interesting, that's not surprising to me. He should feel emboldened. What is surprising to me is that Marjorie Greene does not seem chastised as you would expect that she would. And she's attacking Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson goes to Trump. Trump sides with Mike Johnson, but Greene is not actually backing off. She posted in response to this thing about how Mike Johnson, Rand Paul posted that he was wrong to do blah, 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 blah. And she says, I completely agree. Speaker Johnson is calling my motion to vacate a distraction, not helpful to our party. You saw the video. In reality, a Republican elected speaker who fully funds and supports the Democrats' agenda is destroying our party and will cause us to lose the majority. Those are very strong words. And you would expect that she would back off a little bit after Donald Trump signaled that he wants Mike Johnson in that position. But so far, she's not. And she's not just doing this on Twitter. She went on Steve Bannon's show. Watch this.
They see me up close. They know I mean exactly every single word I say, and I'm not full of shit, just like Mike Johnson is, and I'm actually going to follow through with actions instead of lie to people on television and in press conferences and out on the campaign trail.
And she means it. She believes everything she says. Every wackadoodle thing she says about space lasers and eclipses and the end of the world, she fully believes it. But that is her not backing off. And Francesca, I find that to be fascinating. What do you think?
No one has embodied Karenicity more than Marjorie Taylor Greene. She thinks she can complain her way into whatever hell world she wants to live in. It's just incredible. Like my favorite part about all of this is it feels like Republicans in the House are trying to finger point and blame one another before their imminent loss of the majority in November. In my opinion, they're gonna lose a majority. A lot of them are retiring, whatnot. They know they're probably not gonna maintain the majority. Marjorie is claiming it's because Mike Johnson's not extreme enough on, I don't know, whatever she's trying to send sentinels to the border or something like this. And when it couldn't be farther from the truth, there are actually a lot of Republicans who aren't on board with the Freedom Caucus, most extreme wing of the Republican Party. I don't applaud them anymore, but they're just not on board. The entire caucus, the entire party cannot get their act together. And case in point, they can't even get rid of the rule that allows one representative to start a motion to vacate the speakership. Like
chaos.
The thing that took down Kevin McCarthy. They can't actually get rid of that. So now they're just having side quests of side quests of side quests in there, again, under this just sort of circus of not wanting to be in charge and being, again, the party of Karens that just wants to complain.
I am so thrilled. Did you make a reference to X-Men in that?
I think so.
I think so.
I believe
and
I did.
Side quests.
I know.
Lining up
Who am
for John
I
today? Anyway, you becoming a nerd. But anyway, I don't disagree with you on the politics. And again, it feels so weird to keep giving Mike Johnson credit because Mike Johnson he should be the bad guy. But it's that thing where like, when they want to like change how you view a villain in a show, they'll just contrast them with someone who's more villainous. Yes. And it really works. You put Marjorie Greene next to Mike Johnson, and Mike Johnson kind of looks reasonable, and he shouldn't. But anyway, and I want to demonstrate that, why he shouldn't seem reasonable. Let's move forward to a little bit more of Mike Johnson with this.
What we're going to do is the House Republicans are introducing a bill that will require proof of citizenship to vote. It seems like common sense. I'm sure all of us would agree. We only want US citizens to vote in US elections. But there are some Democrats who don't want to do that.
That is Mike Johnson striking a devil's bargain with almost literally the devil, Donald Trump. He is saying, we're gonna stop these people from voting in elections. And he gives that little wink, that little weaselly acknowledgement that he knows that what he's doing is fundamentally dishonest and self-interested. He's doing all of this so Donald Trump will side with him, which has happened. He got what he wanted. And I realized in that video with that little weaselly, goblin-y grin of his, who he reminds me of. And I apologize that nobody's gonna know this reference, but the patriarch of the weird family from the Burbs. Look up the doctor from the Burbs, and that is Mike Johnson. They seem like similar people, but in any event, what he's doing right there is he's saying, Trump, you give me your support, you shield me from Marjorie and the other wackadoodles, and I will pretend that you're right about all of this big lie stuff. And we'll do this election integrity bill that is totally unneeded. We'll do that. And so he's saying there that they want to stop non-citizens from voting. That is stupid because they already cannot vote. It is 100% illegal at federal and state levels and the vast majority of local elections as well. And to the extent that people might try to do it illegally, it is shockingly rare. However rare you think it is way rarer than that. And we'll give you the statistics, but they are already very much not allowed to vote in United States federal elections. That's under the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. And by the way, in terms of how much of it happens in defiance of the law, election officials across 42 jurisdictions looked at over 23 million votes, and they estimated 30 incidents of suspected non-citizen voting. That means it's 0.0001%. It's 30 out of 23 million, which is almost exactly 1 million. And so if you're Donald Trump or Mike Johnson right now, you're probably thinking, so you're telling me there's a chance. But it's super rare, Francesca. What do you think?
No, I mean, it is wild, and it's sad. I mean, because we have 11 million undocumented people in this country who've been in this country for some decades, right? Who absolutely deserve the right to vote in a place where they contribute to, they work, they get their taxes taken out of, and they're not able to benefit from those taxes. It's ridiculous. So let's put that aside. You're just like, imagine you are fleeing gang violence in Honduras, and you and your young family, you cross the border, you pay a coyote, you risk your life, you nearly, dehydrate in the desert. Now you're working at a pork processing plant in some godforsaken place run by, some mega corporation. You get up at 4 in the morning. Imagine all the work that you would have to do to be like, is it election day? Do I need to vote for deputy county commissioner? I better get to the polling place. Do you know how hard it is to get citizens to vote? You know, all the groups that work their tail off. Our voting rates are like, what do we max out at, like 56% of eligible voters? Something like that, John. You know better than I do, but it's like, yeah, We can't even get American citizens to vote. Give me a break.
The whole thing is ridiculous. And yeah, like to all the people that say in the form that Mike Johnson does, or in the wilder form of like an Elon Musk spreading the replacement theory on Great Replacement on Twitter. So that law that stops them from voting in fair elections, why didn't the Democrats overturn it then? They had a supermajority at one point. They could have done that. Why are they not doing anything like that? They're not even advocating for it. They're not even advocating with some sort of like, like fake reason why it needs to go for some other thing. They're literally not even trying to do that at all, which would seem to be a pretty core part of pursuing the strategy of canceling out good white voters. Anyway, this is what Mike Johnson did. It may benefit him in the short term, but it certainly isn't a good look. Okay, more to come after this.
66% in 2020.
66. That sounds okay.
Two-thirds. That's pretty. Okay. That's nothing. That was 2020. Nothing to sneeze at. We will see 100%. What I told you before. I think we're gonna look at low voter turnout this November, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, look, there's a lot of money that goes into ads. People get very scared. That certainly helps to raise those numbers. But yes, and I am putting on my glasses because I'm not feeling great, and I'm feeling very overwhelmed, and a little bit of anxiety. Just total discretion in the audience. Anyway, referring back to Trump posting the old polls, Jonathan had said, Jonathan, I think Thon, it's Thon. Says Johnny ate pie once like 6 to 8 years ago, and we've been riding that since. 100%. I don't know the last time I had pie. Anyway, Hawkeye says Trump is pulling a Stuart Smalley from SNL by posting old polls to boost his ego. I like that, and I get that reference. Let's see. I Give Up says missing the live show with my two favorite hosts for the April 15th protest for Palestine. Ceasefire now.
Nice.
It's worth it, and you can watch the show afterward if that's what you want to do. Liberty Dragon, member for 8 months, says I think he's become more of a burnt sienna. Nice. Stop Dragging My Heart Around, member for 22 months, says we all know how to mix Kool-Aid with water and sugar, but MAGA-Ladites seem to just snort it right from the packet. Love the show. It's a more intense high. MZ, member for 40 months, says hugs to all those who want or need them, 100%. By the way, Yonek got the reference I made and even knew the name Dr. Werner Klopek. I remembered that it was the Klopeks. I did not remember the guy's first name. But good actor, and The Burbs is a very underrated movie. I'll just say that. Anyway, Kevin Bard says in a super chat, John should win a Tony for playing Harry Potter in Harry Potter the Musical. Fran's Tony is for playing the lead in Cabaret, of course. I don't know who is the lead of Cabaret in the movie form. I don't know if I've seen Cabaret.
Cabaret is good, but I don't remember. Catherine Zeta-Jones?
I think it's Catherine Zeta-Jones. I think you're right. A Rags to Ruin story says in a super chat, so you're implying that you believe there's a non-douchey dragon tattoo? Burned. Consider me burned.
No, if you do it right, if you do it really nice. But I don't know about the bicep. I'd do more like a forearm.
Where am I gonna get it? A forearm? I should get a dragon on my forearm? What am I, a professional wrestler?
Yes.
Wait, would that help me to become a professional wrestler?
Yeah.
What if I got two dragons? First of all, and I will just say, fans of the Wheel of Time will get the reference to that, but everybody's pushing for the tramp stamp. It ain't happening. It's not happening. Anyway,
you kind of want it though. It makes you smile.
How it
like every time you look at it,
along the side. What about along the side? Maybe a dragon there.
Pretty. That's very pretty.
It's more. I think that's more for women. I don't know about the side for guys. Is that a thing? I don't know much about tattoos. I apologize. What?
I have none.
No, well, I don't know.
No.
Anyway, Chris Mack says in a super chat, love Franny's Queen Bee look today. I do love that shirt, the stripes. I really want to see if they make like baby onesies in that exact same color and pattern, because I want to get that for Raina. I don't think she has stripes much. Anywho, Grady Baby Dragon says, watched Fallout series and Civil War over the weekend, both good, equally as good as the classic Monster Squad. I do want to see Civil War. That
new Shogun episode tonight. Boo,
I'm behind. We've watched like three, I think.
Shogun.
We're watching Ripley, and it's really interesting on Netflix.
I heard that was okay.
It's very weird and very tense, and I kind of like it. It's the dude who played the priest from Fleabag. Do you recall Fleabag?
Yes.
It's a very different take on than the Matt Damon one from the 90s or whatever. Was that the 90s? I don't know. Anyway, 90s. How much time do we have? Oh no, we're out of time. More news after this. Okay, but we're gonna end the first hour with a little bit of ridiculousness, starting with this.
I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. And the statement of Robert E. Lee, who's no longer in favor. Did you ever notice that? No longer in favor. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
If you've ever wondered what you might be missing out on by not going to Trump rallies, it's basically that for a while. Occasionally the reference to election interference, maybe mocking someone with a physical disability, and then the weirdest drunk history lesson I've ever seen. Did you ever notice that people have turned against Robert E. Lee, he says. I feel like people have been kind of against him for a while, little while actually. He fought on the wrong side. That's such a weird thing for a former president to focus on. But I want to give you a little bit more. The full history lesson. Watch this.
Our Union was saved by the immortal heroes at Gettysburg. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow.
Gettysburg, wow. It was horrible, check, yes. It was beautiful? What are you talking about? I honestly, I know that I'm biased. I know that I have derangement syndrome. I'm trying to figure out what point he's making there about it being beautiful. It was absolutely horrendous. A lot of people died. What are you talking about that it was beautiful? And I don't know, I'm very confused. I feel much the same way. If you play that video again at some point, the people in the background, you'll notice people who go to Trump rallies look very confused and bored with Trump during the rallies.
Bored.
They're just looking around. One guy right next to his head is making very weird faces. I don't know if you can tell. Like he's right over there.
No, that dude just got in a line. That dude was like, a line, people are lining up, I'm there. Is there a sandwich? Let's go.
The hat. But what?
No. The one who is
beautiful about it?
The one who is left though is just like, I don't know. I thought I was in line for sandwiches. I am at a Trump rally. Please, like, and then the rest of them are kids who are like, this is so boring. Trump is doing crowd work. Now, for those people who don't know what crowd work is, it's what a comic does when they're in a new city. He's 2 hours outside of Gettysburg, but he's in Pennsylvania. So he's got to mention Gettysburg. Crazy, right? Anyone there? No, hey, what do you do for a living? Nothing? Cool, neither do I. Like that's what he's trying to vamp and relate to them based on where he is, and he's just terrible about it. And I love the idea that now it wasn't about states' rights. No, the Civil War was about uphill, downhill, John. And the thing is that, I think history progressed to say you always fight downhill. And Robert E. Lee just really wanted to keep on being able to uphill.
It's like the butter battle book, they butter their bread on the wrong side, the downhill side, so we have to attack. Anyway, yeah, that was wild. I think it was that he doesn't know what Gettysburg is. And so he was saying that it's horrid and bad and terrible. And then he started to think, wait, am I supposed to like it? Let me throw a beautiful in there just to cover my bases. I feel like that's what actually happened. But anyway, that's weird. I want to go to something even weirder. Take a look at this.
He is our big problem.
Genocide Joe! Genocide Joe! Genocide Joe! Genocide Joe! Genocide Joe!
They're not wrong.
Genocide Joe! Genocide Joe!
They're not wrong. They're not wrong. He's done everything wrong.
That is fascinating.
Why?
That is a MAGA crowd wearing the red hat, chanting Genocide Joe, as Donald Trump, who says, and just said last week in an interview, that Joe Biden is 100% in the tank for the Palestinians. I don't know where you get that from. So Trump has been ceaselessly supportive of everything that's being done by the IDF. We can post the tweets, and he's got stuff on Truth Social about how the skill and determination of the IDF, and these are ruthless terrorists they're killing, and Trump told them their military to finish the problem, which is just deeply disturbing on a very deep level when you're talking about a conflict that has resulted. It's almost like what?
Well, like a final solution.
That's what it sounds
problem.
like.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. So he's very clear that he does not care how many Palestinians die. And then the MAGA crowd is seemingly angry at Joe Biden for not checking Israel in killing the Gazans. Is this a thing? Is this like a total doublespeak thing? Like a double think where they want him to be thought of as Genocide Joe because they think that will hurt him amongst Democrats in the election, even though at the same time they don't care about the Palestinians are dying? Or are they better than we thought and they do actually care about the civilian deaths? What do you think?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think that the answer is, I was going to say, like, on face value, there's young people in the crowd. The ongoing assault on Gaza, I would call it a genocide, is incredibly unpopular. 57% of Biden voters say it is a genocide. A lot of millennials, I don't know, all the stats are just like they also agree. So initially I was like, maybe they are just like against this and are stupid enough to be like Trump would be better. But I think actually, as you point out, the first response, I think that might be more where it's at. Look, they'll use any excuse to hit Trump, to hit Biden. And if it has to be from the left, so be it. And actually the MAGA movement, Steve Bannon and the like, have been really good at doing that exact thing. What they used against Hillary Clinton in 2016 were basically lines that Bernie Sanders had left on the table when he exited the race, which was, part of the establishment, the swamp, all this and that, all of that was, Bernie Sanders, the establishment, all of that was Bernie Sanders. So, and Bannon has recently, I believe, said we should play up the fact that that Biden is burning more fossil fuels than any other president has, because the left hates that and the left is pissed at that, and it is good for us. In other words, tell one set of voters one thing and tell another set of voters another thing. Like Biden doesn't burn fossil fuels and hates the fossil fuel industry and hates gas and coal and whatnot.
Yeah, and look, it's probably good politics. It's I think on a deep level, utterly hypocritical, and I think it's hard to imagine how a democracy functions if enough people start doing this. But I do get it, and you do always have to be on the lookout for them to try to falsely exploit those divisions. Like, it would be one thing to just point it out, but when they want more to be burned, then that seems a little bit dishonest. Right. Let alone the fact that Donald Trump, sit him down and really grill him about what he thinks about Gaza and the Palestinians and what he would do, what Donald Trump would do. So I don't know for any of those individuals if any of them are being honest or if this is just a political thing. I don't know, but it's a weird development, I'll say that. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have to say anything in the first hour because we're way over. But there is more to come in the aftermath. So if you are watching live, definitely stay tuned. More to come after this. Welcome back, one and all. We've got a lot to get to, and we will in just one moment. I want to acknowledge a few members, though, and subscribers. Pearl Drop over on Twitch. Thank you for being here. Kelt 1967. Coffee, I was eating, if you can't tell, during the break. Coffee Dragon Loves Books. Thank you. Mad Creek as well. G.A. Thrawn, Robo Blake, Mouse in a Dragon onesie. Sounds like a story that I would write. Johnny B. Twitching says it's over, Robert E. Lee. I have the high ground, which is just a great historical reference. But anyway, okay, with that said, let's get a little bit silly for a little bit with this.
Get your Bibles, get your Trump Bibles here. The good book is now a great book.
It's like the Bible, but better. The Bible's out of date.
Would you guys like to get grifted? I'm selling Bibles.
They're cautionary parables. There's so much to be learned from Donald Trump's life.
Okay, so if you can't tell, the good liars are in on the grift now with Trump selling his own Bibles. They thought maybe we'll make ones that actually reflect the man a little bit better. So rather than just putting like the actual stuff from the Bible combined with like the lyrics to a song or something, they decided to go in a different direction. Take a look.
This is a passage from the Trump Bible.
And Donald Trump said unto his servants, I shall change the path of the hurricane with thy Sharpie.
Among the listeners was a humble tradesman named Billy Bush. And Donald Trump said unto Billy Bush, when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the you can do anything.
Hoping to sow doubt and division among the people and seize power for himself. Trump said unto the people, check his birth certificate.
The 10 Commandments. Thou shalt commit adultery.
Thou shalt put no other person above Trump.
Thou shalt steal.
Thou shalt commit false witness against thy neighbor. It means you can lie.
Would you like a Trump Bible?
Oh, how much are they?
Only $10.
Oh, $10?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll each take one. Here's another 10. Ooh,
the good book is now a great book.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Like, look. They're having fun, but is that not a more honest depiction of the rules that he lives by? Thou shalt commit adultery. And by the way, they're only charging $10, so it's kind of a good deal. Remember, Donald Trump's Bible is $60, which seems a little bit overpriced, I think. So I don't know if they're gonna be that happy once they read what's in there, but on face value, if you're just gonna put it on the coffee table, you can save a lot of money by getting the Good Liars Trump Bible. What do you think?
You know that his Bible is overpriced because of their reaction that it was $10 and immediately shelling over cash. Like, I love that. Like, it's definitely it's a great stunt. They're great. I mean, and again, I am convinced that only two sort of like unassuming white guys in Oakleys, one of them who has to be at least 6 feet tall, could ever actually talk to MAGA supporters because it's incredibly scary otherwise. But like, none of them, I don't know. I think that was like, they were kind of going with it. The crowd was going with it and it'll be fun to get it back. But yeah, none of this should be lost on us that like he, number one's never read the Bible. And number two, if he had, we'd all know that he has violated each of the 10 commandments. He like took them as like, oh, you're telling me not to? I'm gonna do it. It's just like his reverse psychology. He is the least pious. He is the least religious. He does not care. And so, but it was, John, I mean, I feel like in the long span of the Trump story, didn't we all see the Bible salesman chapter coming? Like, wasn't that just only a matter of time?
I didn't see it coming. I should have. It's amazing that it took as long as it did. I'm surprised he didn't sell the one that he held upside down after they clubbed a bunch of protesters for him to stand in front of a church.
A Bible.
But I'm gonna end with this, okay? If you don't want the Good Liars Bible, if you want the real Trump Bible, you can get it, of course. Now, interestingly, it used to be listed online as being 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. But right now it says in stock for quick shipping, which means one of two things. Either they fixed their production chain issues or there was not nearly as much demand for it as they thought, and they're not actually out of stock and have to wait for new ones to be printed. I don't know which, just an interesting little note. And with that said, we're gonna move ahead to our next topic. Whenever we're ready, why don't we do this? George Santos has already been expelled from Congress. It took a long time, but eventually the Republicans got sick of him and they threw him out of the House. But now they're coming after him again, apparently to banish him from the Capitol grounds entirely. And honestly, while it's harsh, it's kind of his fault because he raised their ire when he showed up at the State of the Union. You remember this? He was wearing the rhinestone collar when he went briefly to the State of the Union with Lauren Boebert.
Yes,
and then got
Queen.
thrown out. So he could go there because he still has many of the privileges that he had as an actual member of the House of Representatives. He's not like he can't actually vote. He's not in the committees and everything. But behind the scenes, he's actually maintained a lot of those privileges. And so that includes access to the House floor, the Capitol's member-only gym, the dining room and parking spaces, as well as documents and other resources typically afforded to former members. So he kept those despite being expelled. So they want to take those away, as well as his member pin, which gives him easy access to the Capitol. But the thing is, like, I know that the pin lets you in, and I know there are a lot of representatives, but I feel like on face alone, you could identify George Santos if you wanted to block him. I don't think the pin should distract from that's George Santos. That's him. He's wearing a rhinestone collar. You can't identify this guy. But anyway, Richie Torres says George Santos disgraced Congress with his presence during the State of the Union. Expelled members like him have no business being on the House floor. And we'll see if it's successful. We'll see if they banish him. But it would be weird to like just go do some cardio and George Santos is on the machine next to you. Like, aren't you supposed to be in New York making cameos? What do you think?
I mean, of course he would. He's gonna get everything he can out of his like short time in Congress and gym privileges. Otherwise, he'll have to like figure out some way to trick an Equinox employee into giving him like a friends and family deal discount. I hate Richie Torres, by the way. I don't think Congress people who defend genocidal war crimes should also be on the floor and call themselves Democrats while visiting Israel many, many times.
Are you trying to take his pin away from him, his member pin?
Yeah.
No gym, no dining room for you.
You take away your
that's
pin.
fair.
Yeah, no, but like kudos to George Santos for actually showing up. Again, the classic Costanza move. You fired me? What?
100%. I thought that was just a goof. And also, I want you all to just track one thing. There seems to be a lot of disagreement in the media as to what exactly George Santos is doing these days. Because he had initially posted, I think on April Fool's, that he was going to run again. He said he would be filing to run as an independent. This is actually before April Fool's. I think he did it again on April Fool's, but he doesn't formally seem to be running. He hasn't raised any money. In fact, he's had to refund thousands of dollars, but we can't say for sure that he's not running at this point. It's a very weird thing. And I'm sure the Republicans don't want him anywhere near power once again, but just keep an eye for that, an eye out for that. That's all I would say. Okay, with that said, George Santos aside, we're gonna move on to one of the things I've been most looking forward to talking about today. And we'll get to that in just one sec. But first, I want to read this. Quasita the Q Dragon says, I didn't know John could win more appreciation points from me. Then he goes and mentions the Butter Battle book. I love reading Dr. Seuss.
I don't even remember. I was just nodding.
The Butter Battle book? You don't remember that one? It's like a metaphor for nuclear, like weapons, races and
it wasn't the one that was like
brinksmanship.
Is it not the one that was like canceled because there were like depictions, racist depictions?
No, I don't think this one was. But and again, like all those Republicans getting so mad that he was canceled. How many have actually read Dr. Seuss to their kids?
I only read the canceled books. I only like the depictions of Asians that are racist.
There are a few of those, that is true. But anyway, we enjoy the Butter Battle book. Okay, with that said, let's move into more fun territory. Trump's True Social stock continues its gradual decline. And what's interesting today is not just that it continues to go down, and it does, and we'll show you that, but why it's continuing to fall. Because a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump. And I don't just mean generally how he's awful and not a good businessman. No, behind the scenes, they're making some really questionable decisions for the future of that stock that seem designed to benefit Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. And it looks like other people are noticing that because they don't want any part of this going forward. And we're gonna describe that to you. But first, here is the actual stock price. It is down to, at least when we took the screenshot, $27.50. And I wanna make clear, when we closed our show on Friday, it was $5 a share more. It's dropped 20% since Friday. And it continues to go down. Obviously, it's lost the vast majority of its value since the initial IPO. But the 15% drop attributed to this morning follows an announcement that the company is going to issue millions of additional shares of the stock all of a sudden. It describes a plan, and this gets technical, I apologize, to offer more than 21.5 million shares of common stock issuable, quote, upon the exercise of warrants. So stock warrants give their holder the ability to buy shares at a predetermined price within a certain time frame. The closing price of Trump Media's warrants was $13.69. And this seems like a scheme designed to give him yet more of the potential financial benefits here. And I don't know to what extent he is able to exercise those warrants, but if it is mainly him, then the stock price has dropped a ton. But if he gets to buy it at that extremely low price, then even though it's dropped a ton, he still stands to benefit a lot. Now, if it continues to go down below $13 by the time he's able to sell them, then I guess he'd be screwed either way. But what seems like is happening is they're willing to dilute the value of the stock for those who already own it so that he could gobble up more. It's not good for anyone other than him and only him if that allows him to potentially make money if the stock continues to go down. And so this is not what, again, none of this is what you want to see from a stock in the initial weeks following an IPO. But combined with the fact that there's been this rapid reduction in the value, this is worrying, I think, a lot of people, and I think that it should. There's some other highly technical stuff about it, and I'm not gonna get into all the numbers or whatever, because honestly, it goes beyond my limited level of expertise in how stocks work. But what you need to know is that it is panicking those who have been holding Truth Social. Those who were holding Truth Social even now, after weeks of reduction, they were still holding on to it until they saw these maneuvers, and that's what broke the camel's back. What do you think, Francesca?
I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is like the effery that happens in, stock prices and stock market. Like, you're basically shorting your own investors. That's kind of what it sounds like. Like, so you get a better deal. I'm not clear on this, but it doesn't sound like it will instill confidence in anyone who was dumb enough to buy shares in Truth Social. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't imagine that you'd be like, oh yeah, cool. I bought it at 70 a share, and now you're gonna give it to Trump at 13.6.
Yeah.
This is great, MAGA.
And then aside from all of that, those millions and millions of shares, he stands to earn 36 million earnout shares if the stock stays above a certain price for enough trading days. And we'll see exactly what that threshold is. It seems weirdly low for a company that's supposed to be confident in the quality of its stock. This entire thing feels like what I assume it is. It's a massive pump and dump for the benefit of one man.
Yep.
That's all. The idea that you would invest in this when you see how many ways they've rigged this thing to benefit him, and that doesn't even seem assured to work. We've still got months potentially for the stock to go down, but I would be very worried if I was an honest investor in Truth Social. And apparently they're worried too, because we need to turn to some of the recent reporting on that. Reality is apparently beginning to sink in for some of those in the MAGA world who invested in Truth Social. Now, regardless of all of the claims that have been made about the company and its profitability and how Donald Trump is sticking there, it isn't going well. You can see every day the undeniable fact that it is not worth nearly what it was when these people bought into it. And some people I'm sure are making money. Trump in the end will make some money. There are people who are shorting the stock, but we have to bear in mind, there are people who like Trump, who trust Trump, who just genuinely thought this was a good investment and they poured money into it. And now, including on Truth Social, they're talking about this and they're giving interviews like the Washington Post. And we want to reveal to you some of what they're thinking as they process what's happening day to day. So you have messages like this: can't help but feel sad, but I know in the end we will be celebrating huge wins. It sounds like crypto people, honestly. Can't buy more at this time. Feel like I'm trying to catch a falling knife, which is just terrible as a metaphor. Oh, come on, DJT. Every time I buy more, the price drops more. When will it be the bottom? Probably when he cashes out. Whatever you put in is just going to him, man.
Yep.
This is painful to stomach. The stock has been cut in half with no signs of finding a bottom. 100%. The company has lost between $3 and $4 billion in the last month. Lost. It was never really worth that, but now it's not even like fake worth that anymore. And in response to this, some people are confident. Devin Nunes, chief exec for Truth Social, or the company behind Truth Social, says there's not another company out there that has retail investors like this. He's very happy about all the retail investors. The poor MAGA people have been duped. Bear in mind, Devin Nunes will earn a $1 million salary this year, a $600,000 retention bonus, and a stock package currently worth $3.7 million. And to put that in perspective, what Devin Nunes will be paid is worth more than Truth Social. It's more than they will profit in the entire year. So yeah, I get why he's excited, but I don't think regular people should be. And they're processing it in different ways. And I want to describe a few of these and then we'll discuss. This one guy, Todd Schlanger, so he's, I guess, a fan of Trump. He's an interior designer. He's invested about $20,000 and is buying new shares every week. And hey, he can buy more for the dollar every week because it's worth less. Anyway, he says it's got to be political why it's dropping. It's all the liberals that are trying to knock it down. So it's a conspiracy. It's not that it's not actually worth anything. It's all the libs. Some of them talk about it in terms that have nothing to do with stock. They say it's basically a fight between good versus evil. Investing in the stock and seeing all your money evaporate is a way to defend Trump from the liberal elites that are laughing at them. One user said the fight has been long and hard on most of us, and this stock is, quote, not for the weak, but that one day they would triumph over critics who are brainwashed beyond repair. And you see a lot of this, the idea that this is not about making a rational financial calculation for you or your family. This is about throwing money at Donald Trump to stick it to Satan or something. And I understand that many people are gonna laugh at all of these people, and I get it. There have been warning signs for decades that Donald Trump is a con man. But I try to have some compassion because they have been deluded by the media and by influencers and grifters and all that. And this is not just that they're losing their money. Families are gonna lose their savings to this. Kids' college funds are gonna be gone. The chance that they'll have an inheritance will be gone. Marriages will be broken up over this because a lot of people unfortunately put their faith in a guy who has been nothing but a con man for literally decades. Francesca, what do you think?
Just that thin line, right, between businessman and con man, right? Between having a white collar job and being a white collar criminal. And Donald Trump really exposes that. I mean, it's just incredible. Like this person, like the projection is also part of the pathology, right? Will be proven right from the people who've been, quote, brainwashed. As I funnel more and more of my money into a stock that is, everyone can see, just tanking. Like, who's been brainwashed here, buddy? I'm sorry, like, even if Donald Trump is reelected and he, like single-handedly like ups the value or somehow manipulates the market, do you think that you're gonna make all your money back? Like, I guarantee you that even if he installs some sort of one-man dictatorship, like buys the federal government buys the stock market, that even then these poor rubes will not get their money back. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're waiting for. But again, and I love this, like, oh, you just told yourself that the stock market was liberal? The stock market were sort of responsible.
That's a great point.
That only 10% of the American public even owns stock, but yet is responsible for tanking, millions of people's retirement funds and their lifelines and their futures that are all resting on it. Oh wow, you are truly lost. And I agree with you, John. I do have a lot of empathy for them.
Yeah, I feel really bad, especially for their family members. You're gonna have a lot of people posting on Reddit about how their father lost all the family's money because of Truth Social. Sad. Okay, one more topic to close out the show. Let's jump into this.
So just to sum up, you would support him for president even if he's convicted in classified documents. You support him for president even though you believe he contributed to an insurrection. You support him for president even though you believe he's lying about the last election. You support him for president even if he's convicted in the Manhattan case. I just want to say the answer to that is yes, correct?
Yeah, me and 51% of America.
Damn, that's not a good look. That is Governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, who is just now all in for Donald Trump. I'm gonna do it despite all of those things. And to be clear, he has been very critical of Donald Trump. We'll show you the evidence. And the only argument he has is 51% of America is supportive of him, so he can be, even though he's been critical. That is a terrible argument. First of all, 51% of America is not in support of Donald Trump. That's why he's never won the popular vote. So just to be clear about that, that's not the defense that you think it is. But even if it was, if you took a principled stand that this guy tried to overthrow the government, and now you're going to turn your back on your principled stand because it's popular to do so, that's many things, but it's no longer principled. And as I've alluded to, he has been critical. Here is the same guy last year talking about Donald Trump.
He is a loser. And I, as a Republican, as a 4-time winning Republican, I'm tired of losing. We should have won in 2020. 2, we lost. We should have won in 2020. We got everything our clock clean because of his leadership, and his message isn't getting it done. I supported him in 2016. I supported him in 2020. But he's a 3-time loser going on to be a 4-time loser.
The same guy. Saying that he's a loser. And by the way, Sununu was 100% right in everything he was saying there. And Donald Trump will still be that drag on the entire party in 2024. And from one year to another, perhaps to save his political bacon, he turns his back entirely on that. And I want to give you just one more post to show how brazen it was. This is what he used to say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump posted on Truth that every time he mentions Sununu, they boo like crazy. He's all jacked up on something. So he's attacking Sununu. Sununu says, I suppose it's tough keeping up with the conversation given your advanced age. Maybe try subtitles next time. Thanks for watching. It wasn't just that he was critical about Donald Trump. He was critical to Donald Trump. And this, all of them, they're fake big guys. They have fake principles. And then as soon as they're worried that they're not going to keep their position, they turn their back on everything they said. They rewrite history to bow down to the God Emperor. And that's what he's doing. Francesca, what do you think?
January. That wasn't even 2016. That was January that he's trying to clown on him. I mean, I will say, hearing him, Sununu, first of all, it's so sad because of course he just wants tax breaks. He sees that that's the nominee and he's just gonna fall in line like they all will. Look, that we're hearing it from Ron DeSantis. We're probably gonna hear it from Nikki Haley. It's all the same thing. No one has any principles, especially when their money's on the line. But I do relish in the response that he gave, because Republicans, when Trump lost in 2020, felt emboldened to say the thing, which is his leadership has taken us nowhere and he sucks and he's really in this for himself. And man, if you don't wanna just give us that same moment again, America. Like, you don't even have to vote for Joe Biden. Just vote to give the Republican Party that L and have them eat each other alive and have Donald Trump have to, God, I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait for them to be like, maybe we shouldn't go full fascist. Jan?
Well, you're excited. I'll just remind everyone, do that, give them that L, and then hunker down because they're probably going to try to overturn the government again. So everybody just watch for that. But
give that L and everybody, everybody, buy a shield.
Go in your basement for just a little bit. But anyway, Sununu, you're the worst. Okay, with that said, that's all the time we have, unfortunately, for the show. Francesca, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be interviewing Representative Ro Khanna tomorrow on my podcast, The Bitchuation Room. So
where can they listen to that?
You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, and also you can watch it, youtube.com/FrannyFio or twitch.tv/FrannyFio.
Awesome, and we're gonna go record our bonus members content for this week. We're gonna be talking about Iran's attack against Israel and what Israel might or might not do in the future. That'll be going out to our members a little bit later on today. Thank you everyone for watching. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.